The Zamfara State government summons repentant bandit leader for a meeting to curtail insecurity. The Inspector General of Police says bandits in Northwest are Boko Haram and ISWAP members. Kano Anti-Graft Agency invite Emir Sanusi II over alleged fresh 2.2 billion naira land scam. On business, electronic payments hit 10.89 trillion naira in January. And on the international scene, Russia jails Jehovah's Witness for extremism. Hello viewers, welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I am Musa Joy Onyioza. Now the news in full. Following the recent attack on some communities in Dansadao, Gumi, Anka and Bukuyu Emirates, the Zamfara State government has summoned repentant bandits, leaders of Fulani community and other stakeholders for a meeting. The meeting, which held at a government house in Gusau, was to review the existing peace dialogue initiated by the state government, was also aimed at fishing out why banditry activities still exist in the state. The state governor, Dr. Bello Matawale Maradun, during the meeting expressed disappointment over the activities of some bandit remnants in the state. The governor, represented by Commissioner of Security and Home Affairs, Alhaji Abubakar Daura, called on remnants bandits to respect the peace agreement done by Zamfara State government. He also warned leaders of the bandits to caution their people against violating the peace agreement. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu, has said the bandits operating in Nigeria's northwest region are Boko Haram and ISWAP members. Speaking during a meeting with top police commanders over recent attacks in Kaduna State, the IGP said the renewed attacks need new war strategies geared towards eliminating the bandits from their hideouts in the nooks and crannies of the zone. The police boss added that it is important to ensure that peace and security are restored while imploring the officers to show commitment in the fight against criminality in the region. The IGP said he decided to come to Kano to interact with the senior officers and on their activities within the state, on the strategies that they have put in place, and review it in view of the fact that they know that there are some bandits, members and elements of Boko Haram around the state, and that necessitated the effort to root them out. He explained that on the 5th of February 2020, they had to go to the forest where all these bandits were, and they were able to root them out, adding that on the 21st of February, in collaboration with other sister agencies, the Air Force, they were able to enter some of their camps and uprooted them. The IGP said a constant strategy were put in place so that they go to the forest where these bandits are and root them out. The Inspector General said he was in Kaduna to reassess their strategy in view of the fact that they are experiencing attacks by the bandits on specific villages in Igabi and Giwa local government areas. He gave the assurance that what happened would not be allowed to happen again. He called on members of the public to cooperate with the police by providing adequate information in order to halt the menace. Similarly, he urged policemen to sustain the tempo of going into the bandits' camps and forests to root them out until the terrain is secured. Daily Trust report that the IGP's meeting with the senior police officers is coming after Sunday's attack by bandits in 5 villages in Giwa and Igabi local government areas of Kaduna State, where over 51 people were killed and several others injured. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum has applauded the Nigerian military's ground and air component for what he described as decisive blow against Boko Haram in the early hours of Wednesday, even when the insurgents ambushed from different directions in attempt to overrun Damboa town in southern part of the state. Governor Zulum said in a statement that he was particularly impressed that a combined team of soldiers of the army fighting on the ground and air using fighter jets with a complementary effort to the civilian GTF and vigilantes not only killed scores of insurgents to prevent them from gaining ground, but went the gallant step of taking the war to the insurgents even after they had fled. The governor said he found it compelling to salute the gallant soldiers of the Nigerian Army and Air Force under the Operation Lafia Dole for a decisive blow against Boko Haram insurgents on Wednesday morning in Dambo town. At about 6 a.m. yesterday, squads of the insurgents cleverly attacked Damboa town from different directions, believing their ambush was going to succeed in overrunning the town. Unfortunately for the insurgents, they met a far more determined and battle-ready military. He said what impressed him most was that after the insurgents retreated due to defeat, the military did not stay back. They remobilized and took over the war to the fleeing insurgents, and in the process killed more insurgents and destroyed 6 more fighting vehicles, bringing to 19 the number of vehicles destroyed. He commiserated with the families of 2 women who died from stray bullets and wished those who sustained injuries a speedy recovery, and assured the people of Borno State that so much is being put in place in combined and very resolute effort to bring an end to the Boko Haram insurgency. Comrade Adams Oshomole has said he remains the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC. It could be recalled an interlocutory injunction granted by a Federal Capital Territory High Court that he, Oshomole, should step aside pending the determination of a suit filed by 6 members of the party. According to Oshomole's spokesman, Simon, they have filed for a stay of execution and appealed to the ruling. With those processes currently before the appeal court, Comrade Adams Oshomole remains the national chairman of the party. Mr. Justice Dan Lami Senchi, while delivering his ruling on an application of interlocutory injunction by 6 members of the party, directed the APC to desist from acknowledging Oshomole as its chairman. He also directed the party not to allow him access to its secretariat pending the hearing and determination of the case. In the application, the plaintiffs, led by Mustafa Salihu, prayed the court to stop Oshomole from acting as the APC chairman since he had been suspended as a member of the party in his Execo Ward 10 in Edo State. They listed Oshomole as first respondent and the APC as second respondent in the application filed on their behalf by Oluwole Afolabi. The plaintiff stated that Oshomole's right as a member of the party had ceased by virtue of his suspension at the ward level. They argued that since the former Edo State governor never contested the suspension, he could not continue to act as the party's chairman. Mr. Justice Senchi said the former governor, who on his Twitter handle describes himself as strategic general chairman, had been wrongfully kept in office. Mr. Justice Senchi, who held that political parties must be bound by their constitutions, said he was of the view that since Oshomole had been suspended by his word, he had no basis parading himself as the APC national chairman. He thereafter adjourned hearing of the substantive suit to April 7, 2020. All right, viewers, we'll go on a short commercial break, and when you come back, you will hear that Kano Anti-Graft Agency invites Emir Sanusi II over alleged 2.2 billion naira land scam. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission has invited the Emir of Kano State, Malam Mohammed Sanusi II, a fresh allegation of 2.2 billion naira land scam. The first-class traditional ruler is expected to appear before the commission on Thursday to answer some questions over alleged violation of the provisions of Section 22, 23, and 26 of the Commission. This is contained in the invitation letter dated March 2, 2020, signed by the Commission's Executive Chairman, Mr. Muhui Magaji, and made available to newsmen in Kano on Wednesday. The Commission is investigating an alleged violation of the provision of Section 22, 23, and 26 of the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission Law 2008 as amended in the management of land reserve as Gandu Sariki spread all over the state. Mr. Usman Bello, the Commission's Director of Special Assignment and Communication Advisor, also confirmed the development to journalists in Kano State on Wednesday. The Director disclosed that the investigation was triggered by some whistleblowers. The Director said that Section 31st of the law establishing the Commission empowered it to initiate such investigation and order any invitee to appear before it to defend him or herself from any allegation. He said in the course of investigation, the Commission was made to understand that a company, Country Wide House Limited, served as a corporate vehicle to allegedly launder 520 million naira as proceeds of 20 hectares of land at Darmanawa II. According to him, the land in question, which was under formerly right of occupancy, was illegally sold to Mr. Family Home Fund Limited at the alleged instance of Emir of Kano State. The spokesman explained that the trio were invited in the spirit of fair hearing, and they visited the Commission on several occasions to provide useful information. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, on Wednesday advocated stiff penalties for electoral offences such as election rigging and ballot snatching. Mr. Lawan made this known in his concluding remarks after the Senate considered a bill that seeks to establish the Electoral Offences Commission. According to the Senate President, the move to establish the Commission was in line with the legislative agenda of the 9th National Assembly at sanitizing Nigeria's electoral process. He said it is in pursuit of the legislative agenda at ensuring that we sanitize the electoral environment in the right direction, so the bill is one of many that requires to amend the Electoral Act. Even constitutional amendments and alterations will be made to that effect to ensure that the electoral processes and procedures are very well protected, that we stop people from abusing the process because they are in power or because they have money. Earlier, the sponsor of the Electoral Offences Commission Bill, Senator Abubakar Shaibu Kyari, APC Borno North, in his late debate expressed concern that electoral crimes lead to low-quality, corrupt and violent political leadership. He said Electoral Commission help election riggers and offenders take control of government against the democratic will of the electorate. According to the lawmaker, electoral offences give birth to political apathy that forces the electorate to shun political processes, and warned that political violence precipitates vicious cycles of political instability and national insecurity. Election corruption leads to avoidable waste of public resources and threatens national development in socio-political and economic contexts. Some suspected Boko Haram members have attacked Dapchi town, the headquarters of Busari local government area of Yobe State. The insurgents carried out the attack on Wednesday evening in Dapchi, about 100 kilometers from Damaturu, the Yobe State capital. Local source told Channels Television that the attackers came to town where Lee Sharibu and about 100 students of Government Girls Science Technical College were abducted in February 2018 through neighboring Jumbam village. The insurgents were said to have invaded the town and set some residential houses and government structures on fire. When contacted, the Acting Assistant Director of Army Public Relations Sector 2 of Operation Lafia Dole, Lieutenant Chinonso Ote, said the details of the incident were unclear. He, however, promised to give an update as well as a casualty figure if there was any. The attack comes 2 weeks after some insurgents stormed the town and set ablaze the telecommunication networks in Dapchi. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control said a total of 18 suspected cases of coronavirus have been identified so far in the country. The health agency disclosed this in its 5th National Situation Report on the virus, following the confirmation of the first case of coronavirus in Nigeria on Thursday last week. According to the report, there is no new confirmed case of the virus in Nigeria, while the 18 people identified is the latest figure as of March 4, 2020. The suspected cases were identified across 3 states of Lagos, Ogun, and Kano, as well as the Federal Capital Territory. Of all the identified cases, the NCDC stressed that the index case announced on February 27 has remained the only confirmed case in the country. It added that out of the 148 passengers on the manifest of the index case flight, 78 have been interviewed, while no new contact have been reported in Lagos and Ogun states. The confirmed case is clinically and psychologically stable at the designated treatment facility for COVID-19 at the Infectious Disease Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. A multi-sectoral National Emergency Operations Center activated at Level 3 continues to coordinate the national response activities. This comes as the Senate President Ahmed Lawan called on the federal government to release the sum of 620 million naira to the NCDC as fund budgeted for the emergency response to coronavirus. Mr. Lawan, who visited the isolation centers located at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada, decried the situation at the temporary isolation center, which he said was not in good shape. We will go on a short commercial break, and when we come back, Standard Voice Television News continues.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800 2255 4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back on Business. Jemima Samuel has more detail.
Thank you. Welcome to Business Desk. Nigerian banks facilitated electronic payments valued at 10.89 trillion naira in January, a 29% increase in transactions against 8.41 trillion recorded in January 2019. Latest statistics obtained from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement Scheme have shown the volume of electronic payments rose to 160.18 million, recording 58% increase from 2019 figure, which was 101.38 million. The overall electronic payment figure is an aggregate of transactions carried out on point of sales, terminal mobile interbank transfers, NIBSS instant payments, electronic bill payments, and central pay across the country. According to the statistics, the volume of point of sales transactions stood at 313.427 billion naira in January, recording a 41% increase compared with 222.921 billion naira recorded in the corresponding period in 2019. Also, the volume of payments carried out via the POS terminals rose to 41.305 million in January 2020, representing 47% increase as against the 28.162 million in the same period 2019. The NIBSS data indicated that mobile interbanking transfers amounted to 133.215 billion naira in January 2020, recording a 397% growth from 26.828 billion naira in January 2019. The volume of mobile interbank transfer also climbed by 914% to 7.352 million in January 2020, from 0.723 million in the corresponding period of 2019. For the NIP payments, Nigerian banks facilitated deals valued at 10.3 trillion naira in January this year, representing 27% growth from 8.11 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2019. The volume of the NIP deals also hit 101.35 million in January against 72.29 million in January 2019. According to the NIBSS, electronic bill payments worth 92.76 billion naira were carried out by banks in January, representing 86% growth from 49.76 billion naira in the same period in 2019. The volume of electronic bills, according to the data, however, indicated a decline of transactions at 122.685 million bills were paid in January as against 135.656 million in January 2019, representing 9% reduction in volume. Central Bank Pay, an application that allows customers to pay payments to e-commerce businesses, recorded transactions worth 471.927 million naira in January. Analysis of the NIBSS data indicated that this was 20% reduction in payments made by consumers in January 2019, which was 591.35 million naira. The volume of central pay dues declined by 23% from 67.718 in January 2019 to 52.241 in January 2020. A financial technology expert, Mr. Indenlimi Beho, recently at the event in Lagos said that digital literacy to ensure financial technology adoption, especially at the bottom of the pyramid, should be intensified. Beho, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Future Software Resources Limited, noted that the super agents that had been deployed across the country were increasing Nigerians' access to financial services. Also, the head of innovation, enhancing financial innovation and access, Dayo Odulate, on the other hand, spoke on the need to drive financial inclusion through financial literacy. She identified communication as an important tool that financial stakeholders should leverage to deepen financial inclusion, specifically for the people in rural areas, as many of them were falling back into informal financial services. And that's all we have on Business Desk today. I am Jemima Samuels. Thanks for watching.
And on the international scene, a court in Russia annexed Crimea sentenced a Jehovah's Witness to 6 years in prison for extremism. The group said Thursday as Moscow pursues a crackdown on the US-based movement. Russia outlawed the Jehovah's Witnesses in 2017, labeling them as extremist organization. A court in Dzako in the north of the Crimea Peninsula sentenced Sergei Filatov, a 47-year-old father of 4, to 6 years in prison, the religious group said. He said the first one of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Crimea to be convicted for so-called extremist activity, said Gerard Lopes, a New York-based spokesman for the religious movement. The Dzako District Court confirmed in a statement that it had sentenced a Jehovah's Witness to 6 years in prison. The Jehovah's Witnesses said Filatov's home was sacked in November 2018 in one of the largest special operations against the movement in recent years. More than 35 law enforcement officers, including heavily armed special forces, raided his home, the group said, noting that 2 of his children are minors. The group said the case was rife with falsifications. Moscow unleashed the crackdown on the Christian evangelical movement, even though President Vladimir Putin said last year that Jehovah's Witnesses should not be considered as terrorists. 10 members have received prison terms in Russia since 2017, including in Crimea, which Moscow annexed from Ukraine in 2014. Founded in the United States in the late 19th century, the movement have been repeatedly accused of proselytizing or refusing to respect state symbols such as flags. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. The Zamfara State government summons repentant bandit leaders for a meeting to curtail insecurity. You've heard that the Inspector General of Police says bandits in Northwest are Boko Haram and ISWAP members. Kano Anti-Graft Agency invites Emir Sanusi II over alleged fresh 2.2 billion naira land scam. On business, electronic payments hit 10.89 trillion naira in January. And on the international scene, Russia jails Jehovah's Witness for extremism. That's the news on behalf of the production crew. Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Malam Ibrahim Garubatunau. I still remain Musa Joy Onyoga. Stay tuned.